this month in the More Than Mom community, it is open right now. The doors are open and they're going to be open until Monday. And I mean, it's just a great place to make some mom friends, have some laughs during the day, pull out your phone and have that group that you're feeling connected to. But we also are going to be doing mini challenges, and we're starting a 10-day challenge on burnout on Monday, about fighting burnout. So I had Michelle Grosser on my podcast a couple weeks ago, and she talked about how the 3 ways that you can really fight burnout in your day to day are through 10 minutes of movement, 10 minutes of play, and 10 minutes of like rest for your mind, 10 minutes of stillness. And they can overlap. But I think we can all wrap our heads around the 10 minutes of movement. I think we can all wrap our heads around 10 minutes of play. But what about the stillness piece? It's still really like, I don't know how to make that happen in my life because I am always moving. So tell me about how we can do this.
Yeah, so I really love looking at it's less about the what and more about the how you're doing something, right? So stillness doesn't mean like absence of chaos, in my opinion, because that's never going to happen in motherhood. Like literally, I have a feeding time at the zoo, right? So stillness isn't necessarily this idea of like take everything away and find this beautiful hour of like uninterrupted time. It is this idea instead of saying, I'm choosing me. I am taking this moment and allowing yourself to notice, to pause. Because so often in our lives, especially as moms, we are one thing after the next. What's on my to-do list? I got this done, so now moving on. I mean, literally after this call, I have moving things to get done.
Yeah.
So being able to say, for right now, regardless of what's happening, I'm going to choose this moment to be still. And that's not necessarily still in mind, because that's a practice that takes time. It's saying I'm choosing to practice that stillness. I'm choosing to take that time. I'm choosing me, more or less.
I love that. So how I'm seeing that with what I do in my life is like when I fill up my water bottle, I take just however long it takes. So I've got a big water bottle, so it's a few seconds to like stop and check in. Like, where am I overstimulated right now? Do I feel like I'm about to snap? What's going on in my body? And it doesn't take long. It's like 30 seconds. But instead of trying to multitask, whatever it is, like water bottle time.
I love that. I love that you actually, this is a point I really love to do with the moms that I work with, is that take the things that you're already doing and doing them more intentionally. So like you're doing the dishes, notice the water on your hands. That can be stillness, like just noticing the water on your hands. Or as you're putting the kids to bed, putting your phone away while you're putting the kids to bed so that you can take that stillness with them. Stillness does, again, not mean like undistracted time. It just means being completely in that moment and slowing down enough. I mean, I try to, between sessions, because I'm a therapist, I try to be really intentional about relaxing my jaw right before I get on a call and using that in between time as sessions to do those things. So relaxing my jaw, lowering my shoulders. I imagine that just listening to this, most of the people were like, oh, shoot, my shoulders have been up this high. And it's just finding those ways to weave it in and be intentional and tune into yourself. But I love that you mentioned like filling up your water bottle. Okay, where am I? And it's not a judgment call like, oh my gosh, you're such a hot mess. Like, what are you doing right now? It's, what does my head feel like? What does my stomach feel like? Where, am I anxious or what am I feeling? Just taking notice. And maybe starting with yourself in that stillness may be too hard, if I'm being honest. Like a lot of us have been conditioned for most of our lives to follow the standards that are set for us rather than tuning into ourselves and trusting ourselves. And so maybe it's, what do you notice around you? Can you pick a noise? Like I can hear a bird outside my porch, or I can, feel the carpet underneath my feet, right? Like those are the kinds of things you can take notice of too. And that's still stillness.
Right. That's so fantastic. That's such a good point. And I love how you said it's being present. It can be being present in some ways, because when we have those pockets of time, we often grab our phone and check all of the things, when really that could be an opportunity for stillness. So maybe taking a walk around the block without your phone, without your earbuds. So you're not listening to the podcast or doing the things, but you're giving yourself just time to reflect, right? Instead of just any time, right? Go to the bathroom and leave your phone out, right? That could be rest. Talk about that.
Absolutely. So it's so much deeper than that, if I'm being honest, because stillness is
Yeah.
hard. You're
Yeah.
confronted with yourself. You've avoided yourself for a reason. You have been buzzing about all your life and all of this day for a reason. Like being still is really uncomfortable because what do you do with that stillness? There's not always a solution, there's not always a fix. You have to sit in the discomfort of, am I disappointed? Am I lonely? Am I scared? Am I whatever? And there's no fix to that. That's overwhelming. And so we avoid it. We doom scroll on our phones. We fill our calendars with a bunch of things. We have noise and things like that. And I will be honest, I don't go on walks without a podcast because that's my only time to listen to a podcast,
Right.
right? Like,
Right.
so I am not one of those people that necessarily like sits in quiet, but recognizing my own resistance to quiet, recognizing your own resistance to quiet or to stillness or to undistracted time, because we put so much weight into what can we get done? What am I worth is what I can check off my to-do list. What I am worth or how much my value is what I can accomplish at the end. That's my success. And so if you're measuring yourself on what you can get done by the end of the day, it's going to be really hard to say, I just sat and did nothing for, an hour.
Right. That's huge. I mean, we need to feel more productive now than we've ever done before, but we also feel less accomplished than we've ever felt before because nothing seems to get done. So to think about stopping something for this need that doesn't feel productive in any way, like sure, we might know it's good for ourselves. We might know that we need that, but like, where's the incentive? So what are some benefits that we can start feeling like right away? What can we look for? Because I feel like it's better when we can start saying like at the end of doing something or not doing something in this case, you're like, okay, I feel better in this way. So that was good.
So I think of long-term gain, right? First off, that's one point. And then I find it ironic you asked this question because my it's Insight Timer. It's a meditation app. I have a like little quote of the day, and it literally says, "What you resist will persist." And that's honestly what it comes down to. Of just because you push these feelings aside, just because you push the rest aside to some magical time that's some distant future away, does not mean that you don't still need it. And eventually you can either schedule it yourself on your time, or you can be forced to schedule it because you got knocked on your butt by life and by sickness and by all of these things, because eventually it does catch up to you. So what you resist will persist and it will knock you on your butt unless you choose to put it in time or put it in your schedule at some point. So I think one of the big benefits is that it's on your time and on your control or in your control versus like it happening to you at an inconvenient time. The second one is, I know whoever is listening to this wants to be a good mom. That is, that's one of their big motivators for probably any Google search they're doing, any sort of books they're reading, any of the things they're consuming right now. They want to be a good mom. You cannot be a good mom if you are constantly putting your needs on the back burner, because eventually it catches up with you. You're going to be irritable. You're going to be snappy. You're going to react in ways that you don't want to react to. It's not about choosing your needs above your kids. It's saying my needs matter too because I want to show up as a good mom. That doesn't mean spa days and shopping trips. That can mean just saying I'm allowed to slow down and not prove anything right now. I am not measured by what I can get done. So the other benefit is, you want to be a good mom, then you have to start prioritizing yourself. You have to start having some stillness because you'll be less irritable. You'll be more patient with your kids. You'll feel more present and not be missing these amazing moments that are with your children because you're tied up on all these other tasks. You can actually enjoy that motherhood. You can actually enjoy what you've been like working so hard for. So I would say those are probably my two big ones that, why we need to take the rest.
Right. And when you start to take that time, it's like a muscle. You start to work on it and you think my favorite thing to talk about is when I'm starting to feel overstimulated and I can recognize it. I can ask myself now, because I've practiced it, what's one thing that I can remove from this situation that will make it better for me and that will make it better for my kids? Like if I feel like I'm about to snap, I'm like, maybe I turn off the TV, or maybe I turn off the radio, or maybe I put away that toy that is just driving me crazy and we play a game instead. So for me, it's like getting better at recognizing the instant gratification that you can make for yourself, like making it a lot easier.
But I want to even highlight the fact that you've done some of the work to recognize those triggers, right? And
Right.
that
It
came
takes
from
time.
stillness. You
Yeah.
had to recognize, hey, this is the slow build to the explosion. Here, instead of intervening at this point when I've already lost my poop on everything and everyone,
Hmm.
let's intervene down here and say, okay, we'll remove the toy before I get to this point. So if you kind of picture it like a wave, the peak is where we're losing our crap. We are not in our best selves. If we can intervene anytime before that big peak of a wave, we're going to be golden. But that requires stillness. You have to know what's happening before you can change what you're doing.
Right. So we need to have some pattern disruptors into our day. Like filling your
Mm-hmm.
water bottle can be one of them. It's like associating what you're already doing. One thing that I've been talking about a lot lately is like putting on lotion or putting on the
Mm-hmm.
chapstick. I don't know about you, but I will think a lot about like my lips are really dry. I should put on some chapstick, and I never do it. Like you just never get to it, even though it's so simple. Like just taking the 10 seconds or forcing yourself to do it to actually follow through on those things that you know are going to feel really good. It it just breaks it up. It breaks that pattern.
It does. And I would just say, like, as you're kind of mentioning, adding it to the things that you already are doing is a great one. But I also like you have to put it on your schedule. You have to see it as important, or it's not going to get done because your calendar is always going to be filled up with something. There will
Mhm.
be always something that needs your time and attention. There's always something you could choose to do instead of taking that time for yourself. So even blocking your time for, hey, I'm going to take 5 minutes right before I go to bed, or I'm going to take, a minute before I go and pick up my kiddos, like to just take a pause of, I notice what's happening for me physically. I notice what's happening around me. I notice, I take a breath, I take a whatever and sit in stillness if that's what it is for you, or even turning on a meditation, for goodness sakes. I know everybody has their own feels about meditation. I was on the fence about it for a long time, but you can use prompts and tools that help to support that as well. It doesn't have to just be you kind of going off base here.
Hmm. Definitely. What are some of your favorite things that you do in your day to day to disrupt those patterns or to have it stack with the stillness? Where are you finding success?
I really would say that it's one, I'm a morning person and I like doing my morning routine because that's me choosing myself. I get to go at my own pace. I get to do what I want for that first hour-ish before my kids wake up. So
Hmm.
that is a really important one. And I do know that that sets kind of the tone for the rest of my day. I don't like being rushed into my morning, like with demands. I hate being hit with demands first thing in the morning. That is not my cup of tea. I already feel like I'm failing. That's a whole thing. So for me, morning routine is a big one for me. Um, Also making sure that like I I don't know how to word it exactly of what this looks like, but for instance, my kids get dressed, I will go get dressed as well. Like their needs are
Mm.
met to a general sense, but I am not just standing over them. Now, gratefully, that's because of the age they're at.
Right.
But it's this idea of like, I will still make sure I get ready, I get my needs met, and I'm not putting myself on this very back burner of time
Mm.
of I go and get ready too.
Mm.
I don't know exactly how that fits or describes, but it's this idea of I'm making sure I'm choosing myself. And it's that stillness and active choice of I do feel guilty sometimes. I do feel guilty of like, oh, I should spend more time with my son. And do I really have to go brush my teeth before he gets on the bus and all the things? But ultimately, like, that's my way of pausing for me
Mhm.
too.
Yeah. Now, for women who aren't used to pausing and having time with themselves, do you have any mantras or prompts or anything that work really well for people who are just like buzzing still and don't know how to
Yes.
come down?
First and foremost, you're literally rewiring your
Yeah.
brain.
Yeah.
So recognize that it's going to feel clunky, uncomfortable, and like you're doing it wrong for a while at the beginning. You have to stay the course or it's not going to get any easier. If you just keep restarting on, okay, well, I'll just pause another time, then you're going to train your brain that we can't handle that discomfort that comes up when we try something new. So you're literally rewiring your brain, recognize that, and push through that discomfort first and foremost. The second piece, when it comes to like mantras and things, my favorite mantra of all time, I use this for everything, is this is temporary. This
Mhm.
feeling I have, this anxiety I feel that I have to get this done, or I'm behind, or I'm failing, or I'm, a bad mom, it's temporary. And if I just breathe through it. And literally that is what I do, is like, okay, I'm allowed to feel it. It sucks. I don't like this. This is temporary. Because there is, like I said, the wave, there's a beginning, middle, and end. And you just have to kind of ride out that wave of discomfort for whatever it is. So it's going to be uncomfortable to sit still. It's going to be uncomfortable to take that pause. It's going to be uncomfortable to choose you because you're doing something different. Everything feels hard until it doesn't.
Right. Now, what about like for when you're doing it, you're like, this is uncomfortable, I get it. Do you have anything that you can say to them? I mean, the goal is to just be still and not just to be like going through a to-do list. But what are some prompts that you can say for people like, what do I even think about? Because I don't even know. Like, and then I'm just going to quit. I'm thinking like, this is weird. This is uncomfortable. I don't know what to do. Oh, I do have to check that email. I should do that real quick. Versus if you have something in your head of like, I don't know, just that one thought, that one prompt of what you're going to think about or what you're going to notice during that time.
That's kind of a challenging question because it's not about one thing. If I'm
No.
Yeah, so I would say there's a couple different ways that I approach that, and that would be one, set a timer, start small. I mean, literally a minute if that's what it is, and then 5, and then 10 or whatever. Use guided meditation. That has been helpful for me personally as I was getting in the habit of sitting in that stillness. Just sitting in silence and being alone with my own thoughts was too much at first. And I was silly enough to take this big, long meditation once a week that was like an hour long of sitting on a pillow in a quiet room. That was awful. Will not do that again. Wish I had been introduced more slowly. And then the third thing would be, so I am a visual person. I like metaphors. I like imagery. And if you can picture your thoughts kind of like clouds, as corny as that sounds, like, you're not trying to grab the cloud. You're not trying to hold on to one cloud, one idea, one thought, one emotion, whatever. You are just literally sitting on a picnic blanket and watching the clouds float by. Okay, there's that thought about I need to go and get the snacks for soccer practice. Oh, there's that thought about the kids need picked up and they need new shoes and all of these things. Oh, there's that thought of we need more date nights. Why don't we have more date nights? Those kind of ideas. Like, you're literally just watching them. And some clouds are going to be bigger and scarier. Some clouds are going to be like these like little floaty kind of thin wispy ones. Like, they're going to all be different. But if you try to hang on to them, they're not yours to hang on to. And so just noticing it without an agenda, because as much as I know most of the people listening to this want this agenda and this to-do list and just tell me what to do and I'll do it. I get that. Wish I could give it that to you. So just noticing your thoughts without attaching too much meaning to them. A phrase that one of my mentors actually shared with me was, I'm noticing the thought that. I'm noticing the feeling of, instead of saying I'm feeling, I'm thinking, it's I'm noticing the thought of. And it's a acceptance and commitment therapy thing. Not that the module or not that the method of therapy matters, but it's a technique in that approach.
I like to start too with body scans because it's more physical and it gives you a specific thing. Like, it gives you a process and then you can go from there. So like, how am I feeling in my head? How am I feeling in my jaw? And then just going down from there, like figure out every body part and think and try to relax them. Just, it gives me a process, and it gives me like almost a checklist or just something to draw my attention to. That, and then I can go from there with noticing thoughts. But that for me has always been a good, like, I don't know where to start or what to do. That's a good place.
Absolutely. There's a bunch of like grounding and guided meditation and all sorts of things that you can use that are great tools too. But I love that you're keeping it simple with just like, start at your head and move to your feet, start at your feet and move to your head, and just kind of take notice of where everything is. There's most people have heard of it. I would say it's the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You can kind of mix them up in any order, but it's 5 things you see, 4 things you hear, 3 things you taste, 2 things you smell, and 1 thing you're touching. And you can kind of switch those around in any order, but like that can also give kind of a structure to it too. And then square breathing, again, kind of just taking that stillness and really being intentional about your breath. So those are some just really basic things as well.
I had a podcast episode with Andrea McGrath, who is all about mental health for kids. She's a really great advocate for that. And she was saying how she used that with her kids when she knows she's in a situation, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, that is going to be overwhelming for them, where she sees them start to do their trigger signs. And since they were young at the time, she would say things like, let's find 5 green things, like really specific. So even for you, if like 5 things I can smell is too general or whatever, then be more specific. What are 5 red things? And look around for that, and then you can check it off. But it's a good starting point, and good tangent. Now, I want to talk real quick before we jump off about mindset, about how you talk to yourself, because I think that's also an underlying thing. Like whether we are still or not, the way we talk to ourselves is noise, and it's always there, and we have a lot of control over that.
Yes, and
Yes, I agree.
yes,
I
and
said it. I was like, yeah.
yes, and I'm always okay. So absolutely, like you have to a degree control of your mindset.
Yep.
You have a control of how you respond to your mindset. Now,
Yes.
I might have thoughts about how awful and terrible and things like that I am based on previous lived experiences, and I get to choose whether that's my reality, and I get to choose how I respond to that. And I get to choose how much effort I put into that thought. So sometimes you have thoughts that just pop up, and especially new moms, I'm going to think about like the intrusive thoughts, right? Like you're not in control of those, and you get to choose kind of how you respond to them. And it brings up emotions, and you get to choose like how you process that feeling. So there is a lot of mental noise. It is being able to notice what it is and recognize that just because you think it or just because you feel it does not mean it's fact. So I may have I may feel anxious, but that doesn't mean that there's anything that I should feel anxious about or that needs my immediate and urgent attention. I can feel like I am a really crappy mom, but that does not mean that that's fact. And so saying, my clients, if any of them are listening, will smile at this, but like feelings are not fact is a huge one that we talk about. And literally, if you can just anchor in that, it can be really helpful in getting rid of some of the mental clutter, because again, what you resist, you will persist. If you try to fight this thought of like, no, I shouldn't think this way, it doesn't mean it doesn't come out. It means it comes out sideways and in a way you don't really want. So it's okay to notice those thoughts and also decide how much credit you're going to give them.
Right, because that's going to come up as you start practicing stillness, with your mind, of your thoughts of yourself and the judgments and the shame that you are facing one way or another. And you just have to decide if you're going to accept it as fact, or if you're going to try to combat that.
Yeah, absolutely. And combating, the way I kind of view it is like accept and challenge.
Sure.
So you're allowed to say, I have the permission to feel this, even though it's not true. I have the permission to like notice this, but I can challenge whether this actually fits into the bigger puzzle of my life, or how this fits into the puzzle of my life, right? So it's not necessarily saying, well, that's not true. It isn't. And also you're still allowed to feel it. Like I have a lot of clients who they can rationalize themselves out a lot of things. They're really good at it. And you have to still create permission and space for that feeling. So absolutely, like, yes, and.
Right, I agree. It's all so complicated. I mean, we know that all too well, how complicated we are and how complicated our brains are, especially as we're raising these new brains that are also as equally complicated. So tell us where people can connect with you and the kind of work that you're doing with women.
Absolutely. So I am best connected with, or you can best connect with me on Instagram at confidently.therapy. You can also visit my website, confidentlytherapy.org. Feel free to send me a message. Feel free to email me. All my other contact information is listed on my website. Those would be the best places. And yeah, I just really appreciate you having this conversation, inviting me into this. I love that you're running a challenge, because I think so often we're so overwhelmed with so much different information of like, where do I go with this? That sometimes just having a very direct, specific, like, do this next. Take the thought out of it. Decision fatigue as a mom is real. Like, just do this next. Here's this community of people that are also doing this with you. You're not alone in any of this. You have the permission, and it's not just a you thing. I love the work you're doing. I love the guests you get to talk to. I love the conversations you're having. Like, this is just so powerful, and I appreciate you having me on.
Thank you so much for coming. And if you are interested in the More Than Mom community, we are doing this burnout challenge. It's 10 minutes a day of just little things that you can do to, in your day to day, try to fight burnout, whether it's movement, stillness, or play. Your choice. Nobody's telling you what to do. That doors are open until Monday. They're open right now. I will post them in my story right after this. And on Tuesday, I'm actually going to be releasing a freebie. I think you'll love this because it was what you said about, it's like 7 days with very specific prompts. Like, this is not a choose your own adventure of how to make a mom friend, because
Oh, fun. That's awesome.
we lost that. I think that how do I even start reaching out and building that confidence? Why do I even want a friend anymore? So,
Truth.
right. So that's coming on Tuesday, and I'm really excited about that. But thank you so
I
much for
love
joining
it.
me, Alexis.
Yeah, thank you so much, Krissy. Have a great rest of your day.
You too. Bye
Bye.
bye.